Okay, go for it.
Well, it's good to be here. This is my first day back after being off for 2 months, sorry. So bear with me while I get back into the swing of this. I'm going to talk today about whether England is a global hotspot for temporary stream specialist species. This is a piece of work that Rachel and Ian Wallace and I did as the basis of an article for the FBA newsletter, the Freshwater Biological Association newsletter. So what I'd like to just go through is have a look at what a specialist is to start with. So the dictionary defines a specialist as a person who specialises in or devotes themselves to a particular area of activity or research. And we've seen lots of those today, but that's not what I'm looking at. Today we're going to be looking at an organism that has special requirements and lives in a restricted habitat that provides these. So how do we define a tea stream specialist? Well, the approach that we took is we looked at these three different categories. Species that are mainly found in perennial streams, but can also be found in temporary streams. Species that are mainly found in temporary streams, but may occasionally be found in perennial streams. And those species that are standing water species predominantly that may colonise pooling temporary streams. And the one that we're particularly interested in today is the second one, the species that are mainly found in temporary streams, but may occasionally make their way into the perennial reaches. The first species that I'm going to show you, I've got 7 species to show you. The first species I'm going to show you is that's the one we've just heard about a lot about there, Paraleptophlebia werneri, the scarce purple dun. These are the images of that species there. It's a fairly small species. As Kieran explained, it lives in chalk streams. Here's some examples from Suffolk. It's the Floating Brook, and these are all parts of that brook, which you can see are quite ditch-like. It seems to like smaller watercourses, particularly ones that just get choked up with vegetation during the summer. You can see in the top left there that is I think that was May, that one. And by the time that it's ready to emerge in sort of late May, the water is basically all choked up with vegetation, with macrophytes. The next species is the scarce summer mayfly, Syphilinurus armatus. This species, we thought this species was fairly widespread until we discovered that there was another species masquerading as this. And Syphilinurus aestivalis was added to the British list last year. This species is restricted in the UK to temporary streams. It seems to live in temporary streams in woodland rather than Paraleptophlebia werneri, which is, as Kieran explained, is more in an agricultural landscape, more open landscape. This is one of the sites, the original site for this species on the Spittal Brook in Broxburn Woods in Hertfordshire. You can see here this stream is drying up at the time of this photo already. The habitat for this species is just basically unremarkable. Here are 2 other sites, one on the tributary of the Curd in Sussex and the other at Botany Bay in Sussex. And you probably walk past these and not bother looking in these sites. But if you did look in there, you would find lots of Syphilinurus armatus at the right time of year. And these all dry up completely in the summer. Next species is the winterborn stonefly, Nemura lacustris. Again, a new species to the UK. This was added to the list in, I think it was about 2012. Found in one of the winterborns down in the south of England, and it's typically found in winterborn streams such as the ones that Kieran was showing there. This is the River Lavant in Sussex. You can see another roadside ditch, if you like. But again, lots of vegetation in there, lots of habitat for this species, and they can occur in large numbers. The inset there on the bottom right is a newly hatched nymph larvae of Nemura lacustris, and they tend to time their development obviously the development for the times when the river is wet. So you can find them in samples from about October through to middle of May. The next species is the scarce brown sedge, Iranocua dubia. This is caddisfly, as you can see here. It's a fairly ordinary looking caddisfly, one of the cinnamon sedges, brown sedges. It lives again in woodland. This is on Thompson Common in Norfolk, and the top left panel there has, you can see there's a bit of flow in that stream. The bottom left panel, you can see that's the stream completely dry. It's been heavily disturbed by animals. I think it's deer. I've been walking up the stream bed there. You can see their hoof prints. But this species is living in amongst trapped debris in the river. So you can see in the right-hand panel, this holly branch has been in the bed of the stream. It's gathered up some detritus, some vegetation, and so on, and it's in that vegetation that this caddisfly is living. So moving on from the mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies, we've now got a beetle, the brown diving beetle, Agabus bruneus. We asked a whole load of people about which species might be classified as temporary stream specialists, and Garth Foster gave us this one here. The brown diving beetle is incredibly rare. Garth is currently doing an update to the status review for beetles, water beetles in Great Britain, and this is probably going to be classified as critically endangered. It lives in temporary streams such as this, the Portreath stream in Cornwall, so right out in the west of the southwest, and this is a little, again, roadside stream, which you can see has been canalised a bit here. This species, in contrast to the species that we saw in the woods, like Cyphaloneurus armatus and Iranocua dubia, this species tends to like more open aspects, and the shading on this stream is actually one of the things that is thought to have been one of the problems with this species. So they have actually taken out some of these trees and bushes since. It's as I say, it's incredibly rare. We've done surveys out there and we've struggled to find it, and it does seem to be holding on, just holding on. The next two species I've got are the winterborn blackflies. So we've got two species here. This one here, Simulium latipes, and the other one, Metacnifia amphora. And Metacnifia was thought to be an endemic species, only found from a couple of winterborns in the south of England, but it has since been found, I think, in France, or it's either France or Portugal. Again, two species of fly which are found in drying habitats. In this case, they both found in the south, winterborn in Dorset, and here's the winterborn in flow during the winter, and the same view in the summer, just to show the habitat that it's living in. So that's a very brief introduction to the species. Here, where do they occur, or why should we consider England to be a hotspot for temporary stream biodiversity? Well, we've mapped the distribution. We've got distribution records from the recording schemes, and we mapped them, and this is the result. You can see there are some, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but you can see there are some records up in the further north. These are Paraleptophlebia werneri on limestone. We've got Iranocua dubia that I mentioned in Norfolk. But the majority are in this area here in Wiltshire, Hampshire, and Sussex. and this is where we have our chalk streams. This is where we have winterborns. So there's clearly a lot of the temporary stream specialist biodiversity that we have is associated with those habitats. Just to finish off, what are the threats to these specialist species? Well, I think they can probably be summed up into two things, which is hydrological changes, whether that's abstraction of water for drinking water supply or for industrial purposes or irrigation, discharges back into there from either treated sewage or from road runoff or other surface water runoff, and climate change also altering hydrological regimes. This is actually the River Lambourne flooding in July when it should be dry, and it's flooding the town. And then finally, also on the river Landron, the bottom right picture there, disturbance. Now, we talked about livestock and deer and various other wild animals disturbing the bed of the stream in the Thompson Common. But this is gross disturbance on the Lambourne from last year, where somebody deemed it necessary to go in and dig out a whole channel. So all these things are going to impact upon these specialist species. Shading as well and increases in temperature are clearly going to be a problem as well. So just to finish off, some conclusions. We identified 7 temporary stream specialists from the UK. All are only found in England in a UK context. They are found elsewhere in Europe, and there are a couple of other species that we identified that are found in Europe but not found in the UK. And most are relatively scarce. You probably noticed in the common names, they were all, several of them were called the scarce so-and-so. Some further questions. We only considered the wet species. Are there any specialists of dry temporary streams? So in the dry phase, are there species that are strictly linked to those habitats? Is our understanding biased by our focus on winterbournes? We've not heard anything about upland temporary streams or streams in the north of England or in Scotland or Wales. Are there particular species there that we might class as temporary stream specialists? And are temporary stream specialists scarce because there just aren't enough people looking? If you go out there, will you find them? Just a couple of thanks to finish off. Thanks to Rachel and Ian for their help with the study. Thanks for Richard Chad for his comments on our FBA news article. John Bass and Gloria Tapia helped a lot with our understanding of the winterbourne blackflies and Nemura lacustris. And Andrew Farr, who has been a stalwart going around looking for Cyphaloneurus armatus in all these unusual places and being surprised when he found it. Thank you.